Good evening. I'll now call to order the City County Council meeting for Monday, October the 17th, 2022. And we will begin our meeting with the prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Bain.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to welcome Josh Sizemore, pastor of Calvary Tabernacle on the southwest side, to lead us in prayer.
Councilor Bain asked that this meeting or that the budget be doubled in this meeting, or that I pray for that kind of thing. He also assured me that I would get more laughs than that. So, if we could all bow our heads. Heavenly Father, first we thank you for every community that is represented here this evening. We thank you for the blessings. We thank you for the prosperity. We thank you for your favor that you've shown toward us. We also thank you, Lord God, for your unwavering hand of protection that is not only upon these representatives, but also extends unto their families. We ask, O Lord, that you would forgive us, all of us, Lord, if we have somehow put self-interest before that which you have called us to do. Please, Lord, forgive us. And for anything else that we have done that goes against your word, it's with humbleness, dear Lord, that we ask you for your divine direction. We need wisdom. We need understanding. We believe that you will give us these things because you are a rewarder of those that diligently seek you. May the peace of God rest on each one of these public servants, and to your name be all glory and honor and praise forever. Bless this session now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilors, please select your green button to indicate your attendance. There are 22 members of the council present. Councilors Barth, Boots, and Robinson have asked and have been granted an absence for tonight. We have no guests this evening who are already not part of the agenda. So the next item on our agenda is official communications. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that regular meetings of the City County Council, Police, Fire, and Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Councils will be held in the City County Building in the Public Assembly Room on Monday, October 17, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. The purposes of such meetings being to conduct any and all business that may properly come before regular meetings of the councils. Sincerely, Bob Osley, President, City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, a cause to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, October 7, 2022, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal number 315-2022, said hearing to be held on Monday, October 17th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, a cause to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, October 14, 2022, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal numbers 367, 369, 371, and 373, 2022, said hearing to be held on Monday, October 24, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have approved with my signature and delivered this day to the Clerk of the City County Council, Sarita Hughes, the following ordinances. Fiscal Ordinance Number 16, General Ordinance Numbers 55 through 66, Special Ordinance Numbers 11 through 14, General Resolution Number 26. Joseph H. Hogsett, Mayor. Mr. President, this concludes the official communications.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have consent? The next item on our agenda is approval of journals for October the 3rd, 2022. Do I have consent? We have no presentations this evening of petitions, memorials, and special resolutions. So the next item on our agenda is proposal number 323, which is referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Lewis, who will be speaking on behalf of Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proposal number 323 appoints Catherine Wells to the Assessment and Intervention Center AIC Advisory Board. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0, and I so move, Mr. President.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 349, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 349 reappoints Sherry Seward to the Indianapolis Housing Agency Board of Directors. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0. I so move, Mr. President.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, President Osley. I had, if Ms. Seward is here tonight, I just wanted to ask if there were any updates on a couple of issues that had been in the news this year with regards to IHA and residents bringing up to...
Point of order, Mr. President.
Chairwoman Lewis.
I don't think this is the appropriate time to ask the question. This is about her reappointment, and something that you heard about in the media is not the appropriate time to ask.
I appreciate that.
Point of order, I was not available at the meeting where she was appointed, so I was not available to ask those questions at that time. So this is the only time I'm available to ask those questions, and she is being reappointed to said board where she is in charge of that. So I feel it is appropriate.
All right, Councilor Evans, I will give you 2 minutes if she's available. I'll give her 2 minutes to answer your question. I'm not sure that she's in the room this evening. Is Ms. Seward available? Unfortunately, no, she's not here.
Apologies. Sorry.
No worries.
Thank
then.
you.
Are there any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is introduction of proposals. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal numbers 363 through 365 refer to the Administration and Finance, in the Finance Committee. Proposal number 363, introduced by Councilor Mascari, approves the mayor's appointment of Dan Parker as Chief Deputy Mayor. Proposal number 364, introduced by Councilor Mascari, renews the existing investment policy authorizing the investment of public funds of the consolidated city of Indianapolis, and authorizes the investment officer of the city of Indianapolis to make investments having a stated final maturity, that is, 1, more than 2 years, but 2, not more than 5 years, after the date of purchase or entry into a repurchase agreement. Proposal number 365, introduced by Councilors Adamson, Barth, Boots, Brown, Carlino, J. Evans, Graves, Gray, Jackson, Jones, Larison, Mascari, McCormick, Osley, Potts, Ray, and Robinson. Approves an additional appropriation totaling $55,000 in the 2022 budget of the Office of Corporation Counsel Consolidated County General Fund for the purposes of hiring outside counsel to conduct litigation testing on state public nuisances laws. Proposal numbers 366 through 374 refer to the Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Proposal number 366, introduced by Councilor Robinson, approves the statement of benefits for Raise Bio, Inc. and PLDAB, LLC, as an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal number 367, introduced by Councilor Potts, approves a declaratory resolution and economic development plan of the Metropolitan Development Commission and designating a new tax increment financing allocation area known as the Guilford Midtown Allocation Area, and an amendment to the declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan for the North Midtown Economic Development Area and the Washington North Midtown Allocation Area. Proposal number 368, introduced by Councilor Potts, authorizes the issuance of developer-backed tax increment revenue bonds to 6220 Guilford Avenue, LLC, in a maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $7,500,000 for the purpose of financing, reimbursing, or refinancing the cost of acquisition, construction, renovation, installation, and equipping of a development consisting of approximately 232 residential rental units, 250 parking spaces, and 3,820 square feet of retail commercial space, known as the Guilford Midtown Project, located at 6220 Guilford Avenue in the newly created Guilford Midtown Allocation Area. Proposal number 369, introduced by Councilor Osley, approves a declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan of the Metropolitan Development Commission designating a new redevelopment area known as the 1827 Meridian Redevelopment Project Area and a tax increment financing allocation area known as the 1827 Meridian Allocation Area. Proposal number 370, introduced by Councilor Osley, authorizes the issuance of taxable economic tax increment revenue bonds for TWG Development, LLC, in a maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4,900,000 for the purpose of financing, reimbursing, or refinancing the costs of acquisition, construction, renovation, installation, and equipping of a multifamily residential development consisting of approximately 166 apartment units with associated parking and amenities and 1,500 square feet of retail commercial space known as the 1827 Lofts Project, located at 1815 through 1835 North Meridian Street and 1816 North Pennsylvania Street in the newly created 1827 Meridian Allocation Area. Proposal number 371, introduced by Councilor Jones, approves a declaratory resolution and economic development plan of the Metropolitan Development Commission and designating new economic development and tax increment financing allocation areas known as the Virginia Buchanan Economic Development Area and the Virginia Buchanan Allocation Area, to allow 25-year tax increment bond financing, TIF, for the proposed Virginia Buchanan project, which is located in the proposed allocation area. Please excuse me. Proposal number 372, introduced by Councilor Jones, authorizes the issuance of economic development tax increment bonds to WCGPD Fountain Square LLC in the maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8,360,000 for the purpose of financing, reimbursing, or refinancing the costs of acquisitions, construction, renovation, installation, and equipping of a multifamily residential development consisting of approximately 204 residential units, 210 parking spaces, and 1,400 square feet of retail and commercial space, and other amenities such as public art, known as the White Castle Inc. building project, located at 921 Virginia Avenue, in the newly created Virginia Buchanan Economic Development and Allocation areas. Proposal number 373, introduced by Councilor Osley, approves a declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan of the Metropolitan Development Commission, designating new redevelopment and tax increment financing allocations areas known as Odd Fellows Redevelopment Area and the Odd Fellows Allocation Area for the purposes of capturing incremental assessed value, and adopts the Odd Fellows Redevelopment Area Plan. Proposal number 374, introduced by Councilor Osley, authorizes the issuance of economic development tax increment revenue bonds to Silverstone Development LLC in a maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $13,440,000 for the purpose of financing, reimbursing, or refinancing the cost of acquisition, construction, renovation, installation, and equipping of the federally taxable Oddfellows project, a lifestyle brand boutique hotel project consisting of approximately 164 guest rooms with amenities, ground floor retail, rooftop bar/lounge, and 4,500 square feet of ballroom and meeting space located at 1 North Pennsylvania Street in the newly created Oddfellows allocation area. Proposal number 375, introduced by Councilor Robinson, referred to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, approves certain public purpose grants from the Department of Justice for 2022, totaling $1,030,667 as part of the Justice Assistant Grant Program, including identified projects and administration costs. Mr. President, this concludes the introductions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is special orders priority business. Proposal numbers 376 through 379, 2022, are all rezonings that were certified to the Council for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission. If no one wishes to call any of these proposals down for a public hearing, they will pass into law. Is there anyone who wants to call down any of these proposals? All right, seeing none, proposal numbers 376 through 379, 2022 will now pass into law. The next item on our agenda is special orders public hearing. And before we open the floor to public comments, I would like to call on General Counsel Kim to review ground rules for public testimony as adopted by this body. Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we proceed to public comments, we would like to remind council members and the public of a few ground rules. So everyone can have a fair chance to speak and be heard, it is important that we each observe the following rules. First, each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Second, any public comments must reasonably relate to the agenda item under consideration. Third, speakers who stray from the item under consideration or become unduly repetitious may be asked to move on to their next point or conclude their comments. Finally, attendees who cause disruptions that prevent the council from proceeding through tonight's agenda in a reasonably efficient manner will be removed. Please remember that some types of threatening speech or incitement to violence are not protected by the First Amendment at all. We will deal with those issues if they come up, but we don't think they will. And now, Mr. President, if a council member asks for consent to adopt these rules, we can proceed to public comments at the appropriate time.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Kim. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 315, which is referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 315, 2022 proposes the resolution of Marion County Local Income Tax Council to modify local tax rate and to modify the allocation of the previous imposed expenditure rate and to cast a vote of the City County Council on such a resolution. This passed out of committee 9-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Yes, Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, President Osley. Would there be someone from the Controller's Office would just be able to clarify in a short time how this would be affecting the income tax rate?
Certainly. Is there anyone from the Controller's Office? Mr. Controller.
Thank you, Mr. President. Each year, we have to adjust the income tax rates. The income tax is not being increased in any way. This is a shift of rate within our different rates that we already have established. So this is not an increase in rates at all for our residents.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comment from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on Proposal 315?
Yes, Mr. President. I did watch the committee meeting on this proposal number 315, and I did not hear one word about all these expenditures that were going to be that were previously imposed. So I was just wondering, is there any way that a person, even the people that are out there watching, can get a list of those expenditures that were previously imposed, and also get an idea of what the rate, if it's changing, is it going to decrease or is it going to increase, or they never mentioned that? And I would like to know where I could go online actually to get the text of this proposal number 315, so that I could see that how long these increases or expenditure changes are going to change from what to what. I would just like to know if they're changing something. And I know I watched the committee intently, and there was nothing mentioned about the destination of these changes. So I would just like to have anybody could go online, or if somebody could come up and answer the question as to whether they can find that information, so that we could then know that we were not going to be getting into a situation where it was going to be a perpetual increase every year for expenditures that were previously imposed, and that we don't know exactly where the destination is going to actually be.
Thank you. Mr. Vaughn, I'll ask one of the clerks, if possible, if she can provide that before the end of this meeting this evening. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on Proposal 315? All right, seeing no one? Any additional comments from councilors? All right, hearing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion passes 22-0. Next item on our agenda is Proposal number 334, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Madam Chairwoman, acting as Mr. Chairman Robinson, Chairwoman Lewis.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 324 approves an additional appropriation of $1,825,000 in the 2022 budget of the Indianapolis Fire Department Federal Grants Fund to fund expenses incurred during the deployment of Indiana Task Force 1 as part of the National Urban Search and Rescue Response System Cooperative Agreement. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on Proposal 324?
And I also seen this in committee, and it was never clarified as to the exact mission that they went on that cost $1.75 million. So I would think that if there's a text somewhere that explains that this money was spent on a search and rescue mission, maybe to Florida or someplace that suffered the hurricane, and is this the type of expense that are going to be accrued every time that we go out on a mission to help some state or whatever that was comes into disaster or misfortune, and none of that information was given out during the committee meeting. And by the way, you can watch those committee meetings on Channel 16. They repeat them 1,000 times. So I would just like for the council, Mr. President, to be more informative when you have an issue like this that comes before you, so that the people at home that are watching this can actually know where their money is going. Even if it's a charitable event like going to help search and rescue, we still want to know where that money's going. We see that this is coming from a grant fund, but you know, grants are contracts, and they are also taxes, maybe on a different level, but the only way government gets money is through taxation. So I think that the council could be more, the next budget cycle, they could clarify more where the destination of these funds are actually going, where they're coming from, the changes in your procedures in these chambers. And I think more people need to be educated. So I've seen the Pacer game over here, thousands of people going to the Pacer game. This room is not full tonight, and matters of this city are being discussed. So I think if we make it more informative in our committees and so forth, that we will have a better attendance, a more informed audience.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on Proposal 324?
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Tom Neal. I'm the Division Chief with Annapolis Fire Department and Program Manager for Indiana Task Force 1. On this proposal of the $1,825,000, this is 100% refundable by the federal government. It's the city of Indianapolis that upfronts the money to our contract obligations and to help pay for the participating agencies, which are 34 of those in central Indiana and across the state, for the deployment to the Kentucky floods. And so it's 100% grant funded. It's paid by the federal government into the city treasury, and then that's allocated out through the task force for us to pay those obligations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. The next item on our agenda. Oh, Lord. I was so impressed by his speed. All right. So are there any additional comments from councilors? All right. Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. There is no business under special orders unfinished business, and so we'll now proceed to special orders final adoption. The next item on our agenda is then proposal number 289, which adopts the annual budget for the city of Indianapolis and Marion County for 2023. It was referred to 5 committees of the council, and the public hearing for this proposal was held on October 3rd, 2022. We'll now receive reports from the various committees, beginning with Chairman Mascari with the Administration and Finance Committee report, and following in the order listed under committee actions on the agenda, ending with Councilor Adamson's report from the Public Works Committee. Chairman Mascari, regarding the report from Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met on October 4th, and all departments came, and there were no changes. It passed out of committee 11-0. Thank you.
Chairman Oliver, regarding the report from Parks and Recreation Committee.
On October 6th, we met with a due pass of 7-0. I so move, Mr. President.
Chairwoman Lewis, regarding the report from Metropolitan Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Metropolitan Economic Development Committee met on 10/11. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0.
And Chairwoman Lewis, if you would, report on behalf of Chairman Robinson for the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee met on 10/12. The proposal passed out of committee as amended by a vote of 10-1.
Chairman Adamson, regarding the report from Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works Committee met on October 13th. Councilor Gray moved, second by Councilor Jones, to send Proposal 289 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, in order to permit some counselors with personal interests in portions of Proposal 289 to abstain from those portions, I would move to divide the question on the adoption of the proposal as follows. Question 1, the appropriation for community development grants set forth in Section 4.01B of Proposal 289, 2022. Question 2, the appropriations for public purpose grants set forth in Section 4.01C of Proposal Number 289. Question 3, the appropriations for crime prevention grants set forth in Section 4.01D of Proposal Number 289. Question 4, the appropriations for the Information Services Agency set forth in Section 1.05E, Character 3 of Proposal 289. Question 5, the appropriations for the Department of Public Works set forth in Section 1.01D, Character 3 of Proposal 289. Question 6, the appropriations for the Office of Public Health and Safety set forth in Section 1.01F, Character 3 of Proposal 289. And Question 7, the balance of Proposal Number 289. And I would so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion to divide the question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by nay. Very good. The motion carries. So we'll now proceed to the board for a vote on each question. Question 1 of Proposal 289, which is voting on only the appropriations for community development grants set forth in Section 4.01B of Proposal Number 289, 2022. Are there any comments from councilors? Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to abstain as I serve as CEO of a not-for-profit in our great city.
Very good. Chairwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also like to abstain as I serve CEO of a not-for-profit.
Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to abstain as I serve as Director of Development and Communications for a local nonprofit here in the city.
Very good. If there are no additional comments from councilors, then let us proceed to the board for a vote. Question 1 is adopted by a vote of 19 yeas, 0 nays, and 3 abstentions. On question 2, Proposal 289, voting on only the appropriations for public purpose grants set forth in Section 4.01C of Proposal Number 289, 2022. May I have a motion? Is there a second? All right. Any comments from councilors? Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to abstain for the reason I just shared.
Very good. Chairwoman Jackson.
I also would like to abstain on question number 2.
Very good. Councilor Carlino.
I further request an abstention, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, then let us proceed to the board for a vote. Question 2 is adopted by a vote of 19 yeas, 0 nays, and 3 abstentions. Question 3 of Proposal 289, voting on only the appropriations for crime prevention grants sent forth in Section 4.01D of Proposal Number 289, 2022. Is there a motion? So moved. Very good. Are there any comments from councilors? Chairman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to abstain.
Very good. Chairwoman Jackson.
Mr. President, I ask permission to abstain on question 3 as well.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also ask to abstain.
Very good, Councilor Carlino. All right, if there are no additional questions from councilors, let us proceed then to the board for our vote. Motion carries 19 yeas, 0 nays, and 3 abstentions. Question 4, Proposal 289, voting on only the appropriations for the Information Services Agency set forth in Section 1.05E, Character 3 of Proposal Number 289, 2022. Very good. Are there any comments from councilors? Councilor Hart.
I wish to abstain, Mr. President.
Very good. And I, for the record, will also be abstaining from voting on question 4 to avoid any possible appearance of a conflict. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us then proceed to the board for our vote. Question 4 is adopted by a vote of 20 yeas and 2 abstentions. Question 5 of Proposal 289, voting on only the appropriations for the Department of Public Works set forth in Section 1.01D, Character 3 of Proposal Number 289, 2022. Is there a motion? So moved. Very good. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Carlino.
I request to abstain from this portion of the budget as well tonight.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Any additional comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Just clarify, is this, you said this was the OPHS section of the? Oh.
No, this is Public Works.
Oh, public, oh, sorry.
Yes. Any additional comments from councilors? All right. Seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote. Question 5 is adopted by a vote of 21 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. Question 6 of Proposal 289, voting on only the appropriations for the Office of Public Health and Safety set forth in Section, forgive me, voting on only the appropriations for the Office of Public Health and Safety set forth in Section 1.01F, Character 3, Proposal Number 289. Is there a motion? All right. Is there a second? Second. Very good. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. One final abstention request tonight on question number 6. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, then let us proceed to the board for our vote. Question number 6 is adopted by a vote of 21 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. Question 7 of Proposal 289, which is voting on the balance of Proposal Number 289. Sir? Second. Very good. Are there any comments from councilors? Councilor Bain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make a brief comment. When we were here last year, it was a pretty difficult no vote, or a pretty difficult yes vote, just given from my personal feelings, feeling like we weren't adequately funding the city's infrastructure. But we want to give a big thank you to Deputy Mayor Parker and everyone from the Controller's Office, because I feel like we're finally getting to a good position, and look forward to working with them over the next year, and just want to hope that we don't get comfortable with the current level of funding and continue to find unique and interesting ways to boost our city's infrastructure funding.
Very good. Additional comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I would like to echo statements I had made last week in Public Safety Committee. And while I am supportive of the majority of things that we have doing and are planning with the city and county, I will be a no vote tonight as well on the remainder of the budget. And I am hoping that, as Councilor Bain had said, going forward with DPW as well, we will be working to improve pedestrian and cycling infrastructure on, all the main thoroughfares in the city as well, because We need to reach the goal of what DPW put in the budget program in August, a universal accessibility matrix throughout the city. And we need to ensure that we have pedestrian safety throughout the city so that we don't have the near numbers that we are seeing this year of unsafe incidents. So I am hoping that we can address homelessness, we can address the affordable housing crisis that we are seeing throughout the city, throughout the state, that we can work better with developers in the city in tandem, and for that I will be voting no on the remainder. Thank you.
Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, then let us proceed to the board for our vote. Question 7. Question 7 is adopted by a vote of 21 yeas and 1 nay. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 318, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Municipal Corporations Committee met on October 5th and adopted the operating and maintenance budget and tax levies of the Indianapolis Airport Authority and established appropriation for said municipal corporation for 2023. Mr. Mario Rodriguez, Indianapolis Airport Authority, stated there were no changes to the budget that was presented. Councilor Evans moved, second by Councilor Gray, to send proposal 318 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. This motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Yes, Chairwoman Jackson. No worries. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 319, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Yes. Proposal 319 adopts the operating and maintenance budget and tax levies for the Capital Improvement Board of Managers and establishes appropriations for the said municipal corporation for 2023. Tim Coor, Chief Financial Manager, Capital Improvement Board, stated there was no changes to the budget that was presented. Councilor Evans moved, second by Councilor Brown, to send proposal number 319 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to abstain as my spouse is employed at Health and Hospital.
Sorry, this is actually CIB.
Oh, I'm sorry, then well, I'll wait for the next one.
No problem. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 320, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Proposal number 320 adopts the operating and maintenance budget and tax levies of the Health and Hospital Corporation and establish appropriations for said municipal corporation for 2023. Paul Babcock, Executive Director, Health and Hospital Corporation, stated there was no changes to the budget that was presented. Councilor Evans moved, second by Councilor Brown, to send proposal number 320 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 7-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairwoman Lewis.
Yeah, this time. Permission to abstain. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 20 yeas, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 321, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Yes, we heard proposal number 321. It adopts the operating and maintenance budget and tax levies of the Indianapolis Public Transportation Corporation, better known as Indigo, and establishes appropriations for the said municipal corporations for 2023. Bart Brown, Chief Financial Officer of Indigo, stated there was no changes to the budget that was presented. Councilor Evans moved, second by Councilor Brown, to send proposal 318 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 7-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to abstain from this vote for perception purposes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I too would like to abstain from the vote on 321 as my husband is employed by Indigo. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, councilors. Any additional comments from council members? Councilor Bain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of order. It did not pass 7-0 in committee.
I see. It was 5-2. All right. Just for the record, then we'll make that correction that it passed 5-2. Proposal number 321. Additional
What
comment?
was the vote?
5-2. So no worries. We'll make that correction. Additional comments from councilors? All right. Seeing no additional comments from councilors, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Proposal number 321. Motion carries 16 yeas, 4 nays, and 2 abstentions. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 322, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Yes, we heard proposal number 322. Proposal 322 adopts the operating and maintenance budget and tax levies of the Indianapolis Marion County Public Library and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporations for 2023. Nichelle Hayes, Interim Director, Marion County Public Library, stated that there was no changes to the budget that was presented. Councilor Evans moved, second by Councilor Graves, to send proposal number 318 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion was carried by a vote of 7-0. I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda, we'll convene now the Police Special Service District Council to consider proposal number 286, approving the tax levy and rate for the Police Special Service District for 2023. And so this next item on our agenda, proposal number 286, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairwoman Lewis, on behalf of Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 286 approves the tax levy and rate for the Police Special Service District for 2023. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 10-1. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Hold on a minute. let's proceed again, please, to the board for a vote. Motion carries 21 yeas and 1 nay. The next item on our agenda, Fire Special Service District Council to consider a proposal 287, which approves the tax levy and rate for the Fire Special Service District for 2023. I'll refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 287 approves the tax levy and rate for the Fire Special Service District for 2023. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. And we'll now convene the Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Council to consider proposal number 288, 2022, approving the tax levy and rate for the Solid Waste Collection Special Service District for 2023. Refer to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 288 approves the tax levy and rate for the Solid Waste Collection Special Service District for 2023. Councilor Boots moves, seconded by Councilor Mowry, to send proposal 288 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 12-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. Councilor Adamson, I do believe you have a motion.
I do, Mr. President. Because of the complexity and interrelated calculations of the budget proposals and the amendments just adopted, I would move that the General Counsel and the Chief Financial Officer are authorized, with the concurrence of the Office of Finance and Management, to correct any technical or computational errors in the budget ordinances and resolutions as necessary to accurately reflect the actions of this council, and I would so move.
All right. Well, so this has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion to divide the question, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, well, I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion, the technical correction, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all, councilors. This has been quite an interesting evening. Those opposed, please signify by nay. All right, the motion carries. Let us now reconvene the City County Council meeting for this evening. There is no business under new business, but I want to personally thank fellow councilors, committee chairs, council staff, department heads and CFOs, and the Office of Finance and Management for all of your hard work during this budget process. I want to say thank you, colleagues. The next item on our agenda is announcements and adjournment. The docketed agenda for this meeting of council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilor Mowry.
Mr. President, I have been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment by Councilor Jackson in memory of Mary Louise Harden, by Councilor Osley in memory of Sidney Johnson, by Councilor Gray in memory of Paul G. Harden. Mr. President, I would like to move the adjournment of this meeting of the Indianapolis City County Council in recognition of and respect for the life and contributions of those persons I have here specifically named. I respectfully ask the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made part of the permanent records of this body, and that a letter bearing the council seal and the signature of the president be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you. Hearing no objections, the motion is received and the request is so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we are adjourned. Thank you, Councilor.